thing you gave me was time. You didn't really know me. We were from the same neighborhood and area, but I was with a group of guys that wanted to go to college, wanted to play ball, and you actually gave us that reality that, hey, this could actually happen, because we saw somebody that was like us and that we wanted to become.
Only thing that matters is you come out here, play after play after play after play, and that you play for each other. That's what matters.
Recruiting is about relationships. It's built on trust. It's built on doing the right things. And it's built on your head coaches and your athletic director, their vision. And I think we have two great leaders, both of those positions. So it makes it easy for me to go out and do what I do.
Be aggressive. Let's win. Here we go.
Once again, we are excited to have another great leader in the field of college athletics. We have Debbie Corum. And Debbie, again, I thank you. It's so much a pleasure of mine to be able to spend this time with you. And we'll jump right in. So my first question is, take us through your journey, the journey which has led you to be the first female athletic director in the state of Utah.
Thank you, Coach. Thanks for having me here. I'll give you the Cliff's Notes version. I actually started out as a coach, as a high school coach and teacher. And then, in my mid-30s, I really changed careers and went into administration. And so my administration was really quick. I started out at the SEC Commissioner's Office, the Southeastern Conference Commissioner's Office, a low level, kind of worked myself up a little bit. I was there for 5.5 years, left, went to Stanford University for a couple of years as an assistant athletic director there. Then went to LSU for 4 years as an associate assistant and associate AD there. And then the SEC hired me back. So I went back to the SEC for 12 years. I was an associate commissioner there for 12 years. And then the University of Connecticut hired me from there. Spent 4 years working at UConn. And then now I've been at Southern Utah University for 5. So, I just really honestly started out in administration at the bottom ranks, and just worked hard and worked my way up the ladder there. So it's been an unbelievably beautiful career.
And I you in your story, you talk about, you said low level. That was the term you used. And a lot of people, coaches and young administrators, they don't always understand that, you have to start in those places, because when you elevate, when you climb the ladder, all the troubles, all the things that happen within the organization. And so I think it's so much a blessing for you, as you told your story, so much a blessing for you and people to understand the importance of starting in those places and working your way through the process. Speaking of process, go ahead.
Cool. That's so right. I'm so glad you picked up on that. And I've in my career, I've seen a lot of successes and a lot of failures, and I hesitate when people get into a more powerful position before they're ready, because it's really not even fair to them. Right. So thanks for picking up on that.
For sure. Speaking of processes, the last 2 years, wow, they seem like the last 10 years, but the last 2 years have really been a learning process for us all. What would you say for you as a leader has COVID and the social justice movement, what has those situations brought to you, and what have you learned as a leader from these moments?
Oh gosh, one of the things I think that I learned that was brought to me during COVID was that I have a get-to job, not a got-to job. Mm-hmm. And I just felt so blessed, and I can't think of any other word to use, during COVID, where we could still communicate with our student athletes, with our coaches. We were still able to do those things, but what I really missed was that connection, was that personal connection on camp, being on campus and seeing all the athletes going from practice to weight room to, to classes and all those kinds of things. And even though our university did not shut down, I mean, we did for the fall of 2020, really didn't have that activity going on. And I really missed it. And I realized how much I get the energy from that.
Right.
And so I missed that energy, coming back to me. And I think one of the, we learned so many lessons through this period of time. But I think one of the things for me is how important communication is, and how, how we made much more effort to communicate when we were distanced.
Right.
And now that we kind of come back into the offices, I mean, it's really easy for me. I just saw somebody, I was driving down the road to get back here to my office to do this. And I saw somebody on my staff crossing the road, and I realized I haven't seen him really in a couple of weeks,
Yes.
to speak of. And I was like, we were making much more of an effort when we weren't here. And so and that was just a note to self that I've got to do a better job of making sure we're strategically communicating, because when we see each other, we can miss that sometimes,
Yes.
when you're just passing each other and basically in the hallway. So those are the main things. That's the
Right.
main thing that I learned.
Right. The fact that we take it for granted. We took a lot for granted. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? We took a lot for granted when we were, locked away in our homes and we couldn't get out. It was like a great experience to be able to go to the grocery store.
Yes. Yes.
So we take a lot of things for granted. I definitely appreciate that. So here at Kansas State, I am really blessed to work with Gene Taylor as our AD, and then President Myers, who spends a lot of time in athletics, a lot of time around our team, and have an opportunity to learn from him. And then our head coach, Coach Kleiman. They, as leaders, for me, for someone who aspires to be a head coach one day, I watch their leadership styles. I watch how, of course, Coach Kleiman, as I work alongside him, I watch how he handles conflict. I watch how he manages our team. My question to you is how would someone on your staff, how would they identify your leadership style? What type of leader would you or they say that you are?
Well, I hope they would say I'm a servant leader, because my heart, everything about me with this job is that I do this to try to improve the lives of those around me. And I tell this all the time. I think sometimes our people get tired of hearing me say it, but my job is to make other people's dreams come true. And that's not just our student athletes, but that's our coaching staff and our administrative staff and support staff as well. So one of the things I try to do is find out what their dreams are. I mean, I can't make the dreams come true if I don't know what they are.
Right.
So I try to spend a lot of time, seeing how they're doing. What are they doing? I am not a micromanager. I feel that that it's really important that you hire the right people in the job, and then you let them do their job. And just keep me kind of posted what they're doing. If there's things that, we need to all make a decision together, we bring those to our staff meetings, those kinds of things. But I try to be very inclusive with information. I learned this from Pat Summit many years ago. I worked with her, obviously, when I was at the SEC. She was one of our coaches, and her thing is, if you withhold information, then people can't really do their job right.
Right.
So if you have all the information and they need it, so I try really hard. I maybe talk too much to tell our people what I know or what's going on. I mean, obviously there's times that are confidential, you hold those confidentiality opportunities very close to your chest, but I tend to, especially our senior staff, I'm like, this is what's happening, so that they are not spending their hours working on something, and then they find out some information from me later on that takes away everything they just spent all their time doing. So I feel like that's what's important. And leadership style, I think about this often. Somebody told me one time that a good manager makes good decisions, but a good leader does the right thing.
That's right.
And so I try really hard in my leadership to just think through, and everybody will tell you that my first thing always is this the right thing for our student athletes?
Right.
And that's always my first question, because that's why we're here.
Exactly. Well, I think that, that was very well said. As the person in charge, of course, all lights will shine on you, but you made a point a second ago about being inclusive, about making sure. I had a head coach once say to me, as an assistant coach, he said, now you're all on the bus, and it's you guys, it's your job to make sure that you don't sit on the bus and let me drive off the road. But you have to give people permission. You have to give people permission to stop you if you're going off the road, right? There are some leaders who they're going to drive off the road, and if you try to stop them, you'll have a problem. And so
Yes.
I think inclusivity is important.
No, I totally am with you. And I've had people that I've worked for in the past that you were afraid to make a mistake, so you were afraid to say something. So I think it's really, really important that I create an environment where people are not afraid to speak out and speak up, so that they keep me from driving off the road.
Right. And it's just like we as coaches, you have to develop the culture for that. So you have been around great leaders. Who are a couple, or maybe one leader who has really influenced you, and maybe you can share something that you learned from that person or persons?
I'm so glad you brought up the leaders. If I can just take 10 seconds to let the people who are listening, I don't think that there's anybody in this world of athletics who's had the opportunity I've had to work with these great leaders. So I'm going to just start with number one. And, once I got involved in intercollegiate athletics, Dr. Harvey Schiller, who, went on to not only be commissioner of the SEC, but, CEO, a director of the USOC. And I mean, he's still working, amazing. Then Roy Kramer came into the SEC. I left and went to work for Ted Leland, who was, thought of it and at the time of being, the premier athletic director in the country. Then went to work with Joe Dean at LSU, who Joe Dean Sr., who, had climbed the ranks at Converse and become the CEO at Converse, and then went back to his alma mater to, in the twilight of his career, and did things there, and then went back to the SEC with Roy Kramer, and then Mike Slibe came along, and then I went to UConn and worked with Ward Manuel, and then came out here with my president here that hired me to be the athletic director. Scott Wyatt is one of the best ones, but I learned, somebody asked me one time, who is your favorite commissioner of the SEC? And I said, it was interesting because whatever we were going through, that person's skill set was perfect for there. But I learned so much, but Roy Kramer really stands out to me. quite a bit. He was helping to develop the BCS when we were there and working for him. And I think, what really stuck out to me with him was just to have common sense and everything. He was a very, very intelligent person, but he looked at things in a very rational, reasonable way, common sense. Ted Leland at Stanford really taught me organization and strategy, a plan, work your plan your work and work your plan.
Right.
I think is one of the things that, I really learned from Ted Leland, who's still mentoring me today. So those are just, I could go on and on and on
Right.
about the leaders that I've worked with. Ward Manuel, who's now the athletic director at Michigan, is one of the smartest people I've ever been around. I just learned, I learned what, one of the things I learned from him is have fun,
Right.
let's enjoy this job. And so anyway, I won't take any more of your time with that, but it's been amazing.
Well, I love talking to leaders. I love reading about leaders. I have a ton of leadership books. So, and the people who enjoy this podcast, they are right on point. And it seems to me that you are a person who is perceptive and who watches and learns from leaders as well. So don't worry, you're not taking up our time.
Thank you.
So my next question is, being in the position that you're in now, you have the opportunity to hire coaches. You have the opportunity to choose staff members. And so since I'm a coach, what are the things that you look for when hiring someone in a leadership position on your staff, a coach, a senior level person on your staff? What are the things that you look for to bring that person on your bus?
Oh, it's, I thank you for asking this question. I think it's a really important question. And one of the first things that I always say, and that I think is often just taken for granted or overlooked, is intelligence. I think an intelligence encompasses a lot of things, but obviously I want somebody, because, and the reason why I say intelligence is we never know what the future is going to hold. So we can't have everything fits in a box when you're in the world of athletics. So you have to be willing to think through. And, if my program is not doing what I had planned for it to do, I need to be smart enough to figure out, how do I change directions, or what do I do with this? Obviously, I think experience, X's and O's, knowing your sport is really important. And I think that there are really great coaches who are learners of the game, not just teachers of the game. And by that, I mean, they are constantly studying and talking to other coaches, or whomever they need to be talking to in the field, to continue to learn how the game evolves and what to do there. So obviously I look for good character. I look for integrity. Respect is very, very important to me. So people who are being respectful, to some of your younger coaches, if I take you out to lunch, if you come out here for an interview and I take you out to lunch and you're short with the wait staff, I pretty much don't want to continue with you. Right. So because I want to have somebody who shows respect for all people, right, from all walks of life and in all types of jobs. So, just knowledge of the game, intelligence, a willingness to continue to learn from others to make yourself a better coach, and just respect and integrity. I think especially integrity between the coach and the athletic director is extremely important. And there's a lot of really high profile stories out there where the coach wasn't completely honest with the athletic director. And that's really what got the coach in trouble.
Right.
So you've got to trust that athletic director, that athletic director, as we tell our student athletes, if you go do something, as I tell our student athletes, you're going to be stupid at some point. Aren't we all? I mean,
Yep,
so
100%.
So when you do something stupid, you gotta tell the coach, because the coach can help you. And so I kind of feel the same way with my staff, and our coaches, that they need to trust that I've hired them. I'm going to hire them. I'm going to try. It is in everything in my wheelhouse is to help you succeed as a coach. And so that trust in that is really, really important.
And I think, we talk around here quite a bit about that same thing. And it's really following the same standards that you set for your student athletes,
Yes.
as a coach, is that I said it earlier, building a culture. And if you build a culture, then it's just who you are. It's what you do. It's how you live. And I think, just like you said, that's very important. So my final question, and this one is kind of cool for some people, and for other people, they don't like it. But my question to you is, if you could talk to your younger self, what would you tell that young lady that now?
Yeah. I think one thing that I would definitely say is enjoy the journey. I think oftentimes, oftentimes we get focused on what do we want that final thing to be.
Right.
I want to be a head coach. I want to be an athletic director. And we're so focused on getting there that we don't enjoy what we're doing right there at the time.
Right.
Enjoy that journey to get you to where it is that you're hoping you're going to end up in your career is one thing. So I would be kinder to myself and enjoy the journey. But the other thing is I think what was important is that each job you try to do it. It's really funny. We could spend another half an hour talking about how I went from one of those, each of those jobs to the other. But each of those jobs that I tell you I moved to, I really kind of moved to because somebody came after me, wanted me to come to this place. And I think the reason was because no matter what job I was doing, I was going to do it to the best of my ability.
Right.
So I think doing the job that you're doing now to the best of your ability and just enjoying it and capturing it is what I would make sure that my younger self knew to do.
Good. And those are the words that a lot of people say, to their younger selves. It's been really cool. We've had conference commissioners, we've had Super Bowl coaches, Super Bowl winning coaches, we've had head coaches, we've had athletic directors, and the messages that you just gave, they are the same messages but spoken in a different way, right? It's like your soup is just a little bit different, but it has the same ingredients. And I think that's what makes the things that we're talking about, that's what makes it so cool, and that's what makes it so special. And I say to my players, that's what makes it real, is because when the people are saying the same things and they're saying it in a different way, it must be true.
Yes.
If they're saying the same things, it must be true. It's a lot today, there's a lot of fly-by-night miracle cures for things, but it's not proven. It does not stand up to constant scrutiny. It's not said over here, and it's not said by this person. It's not agreed upon by these people. But the things, again, that you shared today, I thank you for, because it confirms that doing the right things, following the process, working hard where you are is very important. So Debbie, we thank you for your time. It's been a pleasure. And again, I'm a coach.
Yeah. Well,
but to have this opportunity for me to because again, leadership is one of my passions, and that as a coach, that's kind of what it's about. Is they don't care really what you know, they want to know that you care. And that's what
yes.
leadership is. You said it earlier, is serving, right? There's a dynamic that if they don't think you're care enough about them to serve, and I'm not just talking about the players, talking about the coaches as well,
Yes.
the adults, they want to know that you care too. So I thank you for your time.
Well, thank you, Coach Malone. I'm going to tell you, because you got a little bit left. Finish strong. That's one of my things.
Oh,
too.
for sure. For sure.
So we
For
wish
sure.
you the best the rest of
Thank
your
you.
season here.
Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate it. And we need all that we can have, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Thanks a lot.
Thank
you. Have
you.
a great day.